The first time I saw the word foreclosure tied to my name, it wasn't in a courtroom, it was in a crisp, certified letter on my kitchen table. 2 weeks later, during the coldest snap we'd had in years, half my neighborhood went dark and freezing, and a sheriff's deputy was standing on my porch asking why the homeowners association said I was a threat. I looked past him at my stacked firewood, my propane bottles, and I realized this was never about community standards. I live in Cedar Ridge Estates up in Wyoming, where winter doesn't knock, it kicks the door in. Power lines go down roads close, and if you're not prepared, you don't just get uncomfortable. You get in trouble. So I prep like a normal person who's watched a blizzard eat a town. I keep a neat stack of split wood under a tarp up off the ground, squared like a wall. I keep a few propane bottles on a concrete pad, strapped down caps on everything clean and safe. It's not pretty like a magazine cover, sure, but it's survival, not decor. On a Tuesday morning in late September, I'm out there tossing another log on the pile when I hear heels on gravel. I turn, and there she is, Pamela Whitmore, pearl earrings clipboard, that smile people wear right before they say something nasty. She doesn't say hi. She doesn't ask a question. She points like I'm a crime scene. "This is unacceptable, Ethan," she says, and she taps her clipboard like it's a judge's gavel. "The HOA is implementing new standards. You need to reduce that wood to half a cord, and you're only allowed one propane bottle visible from the street." I blink at her, then at my yard, then back at her. Visible from the street, I repeat, because my brain is trying to catch up with the audacity. Pamela slides a letter into my hand, official logo, bold text deadline. 30 days, she says. Rules are rules. I flip through it right there, my fingers cold even though the sun's out. I ask the obvious question, the one any adult would ask. Where's the actual rule that says I can't store fuel for winter? Pamela doesn't miss a beat. Section 14C, she says like she memorized it for fun. The board can implement standards for aesthetics and safety. Safety. That word, the way she said it like my neatly strapped propane bottles were a bomb and she was the hero. I tell her calmly, this isn't a safety hazard. This is how people live up here. Pamela's smile tightens. Then perhaps Cedar Ridge isn't the right community for you. And she walks off heels, clicking like she just evicted me with a sentence. At first, I did what you're supposed to do. I emailed the HOA. I attached photos, showed the straps, the pad, the distance from my house. I mentioned the outages, the emergency alerts, the fact that half a cord doesn't even cover a month when it's below zero. Their reply was a template. Not a person, a template. Thank you for your message. Please comply by October 31st. Then Halloween came and went, and the fines started. $50 a day at first. Then administrative fees. Then another certified letter, sharper, language, bigger numbers, and that little friendly line about placing a lien on my property. If you've never seen your home reduced to a line item, congratulations. It feels like someone sliding a knife between your ribs while telling you it's policy. I tried to keep living. I went to work, came home, made dinner, pretended my mailbox wasn't a trap. But every time I opened an envelope, the number climbed. 3,000, 4, 5. By mid-November, it wasn't just anger, it was fatigue. The kind that makes you stare at your ceiling at 2 a.m. and do mental math you never wanted to do. I caught myself thinking maybe I should just get rid of it. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe peace costs a pile of wood. And then I'd get another letter, another threat, another little shove, and the peace they offered started to look like surrender. The thing about HOA power trips is they don't happen in a vacuum. Once I started asking around, I found out I wasn't special, I was just the current target. Laura Gomez down the street got fined because her vegetable planters were not in keeping with neighborhood theme. Kevin Reynolds got written up because his work truck had a logo on the door. Every conversation sounded the same. People lowering their voices, glancing around like the mailboxes had ears. Pamela picks someone Kevin told me leaning on his fence. She pushes until you fold. That's the game. So I stopped playing defense and started collecting facts. I requested the HOA financials. In our state, homeowners have rights to certain records. Pamela's crew tried to stall processing, review next month, all the usual nonsense. I didn't argue in circles. I hired an attorney. Monica Torres showed up like a thundercloud in a blazer. She read the letters, looked at the fine schedule, then looked at me and said, "They're using foreclosure language to intimidate you. We're going to put a stop to that." Monica filed for an injunction, basically a legal hands-off order, and demanded the records again, this time with consequences attached. Funny how paperwork moves when there's a court stamp involved. When the financials finally landed in our hands, I didn't need a finance degree to see the smell. The management company, Hale Community Management, was charging $15,000 a month for a neighborhood our size. There were inspection fees, repair fees, random line items that looked like someone got paid because they owned a printer. Then Monica found the detail that made everything click. The owner of Hale Community Management was Derek Hale, Pamela Whitmore's brother-in-law. And that's when my little woodpile argument stopped being a neighborhood dispute and started looking like a business model. I dug deeper, not by playing detective with a magnifying glass, but by doing the boring stuff that actually works. County records, old contracts, utility agreements, the kind of documents nobody reads because they're not fun until they matter. That's where I founded a centralized propane system tied to the community. Not everyone used it the same way, but the Homeowners Association had a contract built around it with management fees tucked in like hidden charges. And I'd opted out months earlier. I'd set up my own supply because the community rate was inflated and unreliable. I didn't make a speech about it. I didn't post about it. I just quietly stopped feeding the machine. So when Pamela came after my propane bottles, it wasn't because they were ugly. It was because my independence was expensive. For her. We took that information to the next Homeowners Association meeting, and for once the room wasn't half empty with bored retirees. It was packed standing room, arms crossed, faces tight. Pamela sat at the front like a queen on a folding chair. She banged her little gavel and started her routine. "We are here to maintain the integrity of Cedar Ridge." Kevin stood up. "Why are we paying triple for propane services?" Laura stood up next. "Why didn't anyone tell us the management company is your family?" Pamela's face went stiff, that polished smile cracking at the edges. "This is inappropriate," she snapped. "Sit down. You're out of order." That's the thing about Karen energy. It's strong until the crowd stops flinching. Monica spoke like she was reading a grocery list. Conflict of interest, failure to disclose, predatory fines, threats of lien, request for audit, immediate vote for temporary suspension of enforcement actions. Pamela tried to talk over her. Monica just kept going. And then Rachel Kim, a board member I'd barely noticed before, stood up with shaking hands and a steady voice. "I motion we suspend the president's authority pending an independent review." Hands went up, lots of them. Pamela looked around like she couldn't comprehend what she was seeing, like the rules were supposed to protect her, not trap her. 2 days later, a deputy showed up at my door. Officer Grant Harris, polite, uncomfortable. "Mr. Miller," he said, "I have to ask, the HOA reported you for harassment and threats." I didn't explode, I didn't rant, I just handed him a folder. Emails, certified mail receipts, meeting notes, everything dated and clean. Monica taught me that part. He flipped through it, sighed, and looked back up at me. "This looks like retaliation," he said quietly. "I'll document that." Then the cold snap hit, real cold. The kind that turns your nose hairs into needles. That night the wind howled like an animal, and the temperature dropped fast. My lights flickered once, twice, then held. My stove stayed hot, my house stayed warm, the propane bottles outside sitting there like quiet insurance policies. Around midnight my phone lit up. Texts, calls, missed calls. "Heat's out, propane pressure is dropping. Do you have any idea what's happening?" By morning, people were standing in the street in thick coats, breath hanging in the air like smoke. Someone said the community propane system was failing low-pressure valves, freezing nobody from management answering the emergency line. And here's the part that still makes my jaw clench. Hale Community Management had the access, the maintenance records, the contacts, all of it. And suddenly, they were ghosts, a small group of us. Tom Parker, a retired engineer, Kevin me went to the main utility vault area with shovels. No hero stuff, no movie nonsense, just grown adults digging through snow because families were inside cold houses. We uncovered the access hatch and found what you'd expect from a system managed for profit: confusion, missing labels, and a mess that looked like it hadn't been properly touched in a long time. We got it stabilized enough to keep pressure from collapsing completely, and then Monica did what she does. She turned that morning into a legal event. Photos, reports, statements, everything documented while it was real. By that afternoon, an independent auditor was already combing through HOA payments, and law enforcement was asking different questions. Not did Ethan threaten someone, but who had access, who approved this, and where did the money go? A week later, the audit report landed like a brick. Overbilling, phantom service charges, undisclosed family ties, misuse of funds. Pamela Whitmore didn't get to hide behind standards anymore. She got removed. Permanently. Derek Hale's contract got terminated, and the county opened an investigation into fraud tied to the utility system. Then I saw Pamela outside the courthouse steps, face pale, still trying to hold that chin-high posture as deputies guided her forward. No gavel, no clipboard, no smile, just consequences. And I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clear. Because the lesson wasn't fight your HOA for fun. The lesson was simple. When someone uses rules as a weapon, the only thing sharper is the truth documented.